Hello, music fans. I wanted to post this quick album first impressions video because there are three really great albums that came out on Friday, October 22nd, and just wanted to give them all some shout outs in case you're looking for some new music to check out. Two of these are progressive metal, and one of these is metalcore. So the first one I'm going to start with is Dream Theater, A View from the Top of the World. This is their 15th studio album. So these guys are veterans of the progressive metal style. They're kind of like the pioneering band that popularized this style. There were some progressive metal bands before Dream Theater, but they're really the ones that kind of brought it to the masses. And they're kind of like the benchmark when you're comparing progressive metal bands. They're kind of like the bar you compare people to. Their musicianship is out of this world. The guitar playing's amazing, the drumming's amazing, bass and keyboard's amazing. James LaBrie's vocal performance is pretty good on this. I notice he stays a bit lower than his voice used to go in his when he was in his vocal prime, like way back in 1992 on Images and Words. He was able to do a lot of the more intense, like belting style heavy metal vocals way up high in his register. Now he knows what he can and shouldn't do with his voice, and he's able to still sound good in a more comfortable range for himself. So if you're looking for the dynamic past vocals of James LaBrie, those are probably gone, but he still is able to deliver these melodies in a really catchy way and solid performance. Um, yeah, I'd say this is like a 9 out of 10 album. Pretty much every Dream Theater album is for me is either like a 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. Um, so I'm not like particularly surprised and amazingly impressed because I knew this would be really good. Um, and doesn't quite it doesn't quite reach the heights that they've achieved in the past with albums like Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory, or um, Images and Words. Those are from 1999 and 1992, or even Octavarium from 2005. Even Systematic Chaos, which I think is from 2007. Yeah, I prefer those four albums a lot, and um, would love to see Dream Theater kind of reach those heights again. They've almost done it here, but just not quite. Still 9 out of 10, like really good. It's gonna be in my top. It's very likely going to be in my top 10 albums of the year at the end of the year. It is right now for sure. And the next album I'm going to talk about is called Radical by Every Time I Die. And this is a metalcore album with some like southern rock and like punk and hardcore influences in there. And they're just one of the most consistently great metalcore bands. Like to me, if I'm thinking of who are the great metalcore bands from the from the early 2000s that are still going strong and haven't released anything bad, it's really just like Every Time I Die and Killswitch Engage that keep putting out every release being quality. A lot of the other their metalcore peers that started around that time have had massive dips, peaks and valleys in the quality of their output. But Every Time I Die is very consistent. It's very, very heavy, like a good album to mosh to. But there are also some beautiful moments and some good singing as well as screaming on here. So I highly recommend you check out Every Time I Die. Also currently sitting in my top 10 albums of the year. All three of these are. That's why I really had to get this video out to plug these. And last but not least, I want to plug this album by the band Others by No One called Book 2, Where Stories Come From. So the Dream Theater and the Every Time I Die, those are like 9 out of 10s for me, but this one is like a 10 out of 10 for me. It's like it's designed for me. It's my style. It's progressive metal, for fans of bands like Between the Buried and Me, Native Construct, Haken, um, what are some other bands that are kind of similar to that? It's got a bit of like a maybe even almost like a Coheed and Cambria and Deer Hunter vibe a little bit too. Uh, it's not all metal the whole time. Like there's a lot of genre bending and uh, changes in style throughout the album. Um, so there's some parts that are like kind of beautiful crooning singing vocals, and then other parts that are screaming. And yeah, it's just really good composition, really good performance, great songwriting, a very interesting listen. Like I was on a roller coaster ride the whole time, and I really recommend it. Others by No One, check that band out. This is only their second album, so they're still a really fresh band, but I'm thinking if they can keep making stuff like this, they could become the next, like Haken is kind of like the next Dream Theater. Haken and Between the Buried and Me are kind of like the next kings of prog metal after Dream Theater, but maybe Others by No One will be that next generation after Haken and Dream Theater, and kind of taking the spotlight from there. I look forward to seeing what they do next. Hope you enjoyed my first impressions of these albums. Check them out.